I'm just thinking all of these Harvard folks are going to go off to be like president or something, and like no one is serving the military. That's
So
wild.
you actually ended up working for like the consulting firm in the world, BCG, Boston
Yeah,
Consulting Group.
I
How
did.
the
Kind of following the trend, I like applied to this thing at BCG, and I didn't get the summer internship, but I got this 2-day thing, and one thing led to the next, and then finally I was able to spend a year and a half there before coming back to law school.
So it's an internship, right, with BCG, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious to ask because I was blown away. I didn't realize until I went to college, and then I had other friends that were in technical careers. They would
Mm-hmm.
go to like career showcase at UF, and they were telling me how much money they made. I had no idea you could actually make that much money in college. If you don't mind me asking, I'm curious, like, what's the salary range of an intern at BCG?
Well, eventually, like it was called associate or summer associate,
Right.
and the first position, I think the salary is like 75,000 or 80,000 a year.
It wasn't just in technical skills. It wasn't just in engineering. It wasn't just in coding or whatever. You're at Harvard. Now you've gotten into Harvard Law. You've got some experience working for BCG. You could go, the whole world is open to you. You're obviously an eloquent, well spoken person. How do you end up in the military?
I think one, I was just really inspired by my brother. I thought he was cool, and I always like thought that I may get involved later. And then one thing happened where I was taking a class at Harvard called Justice, and it's with this professor who's really famous for like doing these on like online courses. His name is Michael Sandel. One of the classes was on whether or not we should be required to serve in the military, and a lot of times I say yes. I think like in general, my thought process, and I guess you'll get it from what happens in this class, is he then asks anyone who is in the military or has immediate family to raise their hands. And it was like 5 of us to raise our hands. And this lecture hall fits like 800 people. I think it was a couple hundred people in the room at the time. And, I'm just thinking all of these Harvard folks are going to go off to be like president or something. And like no one is serving the military. That's wild. And fun fact, during like the World War era, Harvard sent the most people to the military right after West Point. And so it's very different. And so that was my first thought. And then the second piece was that I was always interested in public interest. And when the election in 2016 went in a way I didn't expect, I like kind of like, I knew that I wasn't going to be working at the White House. And I guess there were other positions, but I guess I was just kind of not interested in politics as much at the time. I decided to take my job at BCG, but I still wanted to do something public impact. And the beauty of the military is that there's this 1 week in a month option. And so I decided to become a medic in the Army National Guard. And that's why I only did a year and a half with BCG, because I did 6 months training to be a medic. And it gave me an opportunity to do something like private sector while still feeling like I was doing something public impact. And in general, being the National Guard means that I could get deployed and be a medic in Afghanistan, or I can be activated when there's a snowstorm and like transport people who like slip and fall. And most recently, I had the opportunity after doing that 1 week in a month and 2 weeks during the summer while at BCG, I actually was activated for the first time as part of the response to COVID. And so this last semester in the spring, I was both I was both working at COVID testing sites or like taking temperatures at the Maryland State House or what have you, as well as doing my online Harvard Law School classes.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy because that's super awesome, Faith. I know that you've published a book, right? Tell me about that because that's kind of like an out of the box thing. Being someone who's, well,
Yeah,
I guess you're like maybe 25, 26.
yeah,
Tell me about that.
yeah. So I published a book. It's available on Amazon. It's entitled Veritas: Diary of a Broke Black Harvard Student. And it just walks through my experience here. It's really a collection of essays, letters, all sorts of things that are just real life in the moment. And the letters are everything from the letter I wrote to Harvard asking them not to put me on leave, which was ultimately unsuccessful, to, essays I wrote in Harvard classes, including one where I compared, like, I took this class on fairy tales, which like everybody wanted to get on into. And I compared the Trump electorate to the Hunger Games, just because I do feel
Nice.
like that coal district that like Katniss is from, I can kind of see how like there are people in West Virginia that are very much supporting President Obama and would say, I supported that black guy. So not progressive, but are like, dude, whatever the hope is. And then they're now for Trump. And my book covers all of that. It's like a great aid. I think it's a great aid for people who are applying to schools because it does include all my admissions essays. And in general, it's just the sort of thing where it's like, believe I have something to say. I want to say it. I can work with a publisher, or in typical Faith fashion, I can like figure out another way to do it. And I did that with Amazon, and super excited that I also inspired my mom, who's been working on a book for 10 years, to then publish her book on Amazon called Educating a Diverse Multicultural Society by Jennifer Jackson. So it was a really good experience. And I hope that people get and enjoy the book. But for me, it was like a story of persistence, and how my mom says it's me showing her that like there's always another way, even if it's not the typical way.